Alrighty, okay, let's get down to it. So, a little bit of a channel update, a little bit of a Toxic Rain update, I guess, at the same time. So, what we've been discussing lately is basically splitting up all the POBs we have and introducing the min-max versions finally. So, one of the problems we were having was pretty much, if you guys have ever seen the amount of work I do in POBs and stuff like that, was the fact that it starts to get ridiculously cluttered with gear for different testing purposes, for different versions of it. You know, for like leveling versions. We do a lot of testing. I do a lot of POBs, a million different versions, and people come into the config and they don't know how to use the config. They don't know how to use, they don't really know how to use a lot of this stuff, and I need to simplify it for everybody, including like the amount of pods per second, arrows per second. Are they shocked? Are they not shocked? All these things, right? So what we decided to do is we're going to release the Toxic Rain min-maxed version for everyone. And what I've also decided to do is pretty much make it a much more digestible version too. So we actually split it up into arrows. And arrows is pretty much an indicator of, budget and stuff like that and how realistic it is. And yeah, we're just going to start with this. I'm just going to show you guys what's sort of going on and what the differences are and, see how people feel about it. So we start off with 5 arrows and 7 arrows. They're actually the same version, and I'm just going to go over what that is. So pretty much the only thing that's different here is, you start with a regular Quill Rain and stuff like that. And you can see this, right? So if you look at this, you click on low tier, and low tier is going to give you your early game, sort of gear, which is basically just, life, res, chaos, all that kind of stuff. Life, res, chaos, life and res, movement speed, it's the same sort of thing. It's just everywhere you go, it's just basic gear and sort of how you feel about it and where the damage sort of lands you. So this is with low tier gear. Low tier, it says right there, it's early game, eye level 84, 84 plus, which is the level in this. You can just swap this to round about the early game, and this is sort of like the gear you would like to get started. About 4 mil DPS, pardon me, with no cluster jewels. Oh god, how about that? Sort of food's coming up. Anyway, so this is like your basic version of when it starts to feel good. You still have the leveling tree, so there's no big whackers there. Like, you can just slowly go through as you want. I may refine this. I may, sort of add into the notes section eventually how to level it and stuff like that. But, requires a bit of testing. I may have to go over some footage. I don't know if it's subject to change. But for now, what I want to do is give people a progression guide. A lot of people have asked how to progress Toxic Rain and stuff like that and where to sort of get the gear. Well, I always said it was kind of hard to do. I've sort of managed to make it a little bit easier by just giving you guys 4 or 5 uniques to go for. It's going to make your life a lot easier. A rough idea of the level you would like to be or should be kind of thing. And then sort of like, and there's no enchants on it. There's nothing like that. This is regular gear. And that's the damage you're going to get. And I've simplified sort of what to use and sort of when to use it kind of thing. It does get a little bit more complicated later when I start playing around with it. But honestly, I've taken away all the extra options. It should be simple. So like this thing right here says use efficacy until you get Empower level 4. We can just put that in right now. You can work it out for yourself. Use efficacy, drop the Empower. Turns out the damage doesn't really change that much. See what I mean? So you got 3.8 right there, 3.87. Go to an Empower, it's 3.94. A lot of people are going to say like, oh, what's the point in getting the Empower then? The Empower kicks in a lot more later. Like once you start getting to like the high level 30s or 40s for it, or with a +3 bow, Empower starts becoming significantly more important. So basically, if you don't have an Empower level 4, use an efficacy. That's pretty much the TLDR of that. Yeah, we split that up into different tiers. Obviously, at the sort of mid tier, which is where I believe a lot of people are going to go, we are using a +3 bow. Now, I personally don't like a +3 bow, but that's because I managed to get a +1 Quill Rain with no problems. But the +1 Quill Rain requires a good carcass jack, so obviously a lot of people feel like a +3 bow is the go. Excellent, we will give you one. In the mid tier version, if you don't have the carcass jack and you don't have all the enchantments, that's fine, you can use a +3 bow. This is a regular one, so obviously, pretty hard to get better than this on any other league aside from this one. But that does bring us into our next part, which is, where would you go from here? This is about 10 mil DPS, sorry. Actually should be closer to 20. Yeah, it's about 20 mil DPS with 2 cluster jewels and a +3 bow with the helm enchant. So you're looking at like, unfortunately these days a lot more expensive. So these are normally around 30x. I believe that's a rip-off personally. They're about 10x or more to make yourself, maybe 15x. You can make one of these for 15x yourself, or so on in a league, and that's how I would recommend people to do this, you know what I mean? This is also going to cost you about 15x. You're looking at about 30x budget. Carcass Jack, yet again, these are all basic items after this. So the mid-tier versions, I'm going to say roughly 30 to 40x. You know what I mean? Depending on how prices go. Because you got to remember, at one point, this Devoto's right here with a +1 arrow was quite legitimately like 1x. And I bought so many of them that we ended up corrupting them for fun because they were that abundant and no one cared about them. Not so much anymore. Now they're apparently worth a fortune. So that's how it goes when you start letting people know about how POBs work and how, you know, how things scale. So yeah, this may cost you a lot. It might cost you a lot less depending on how the meta shifts, but this is probably the version most players are going to go for. People that want a little bit more damage than this, maybe like, let's say double and a little bit more life, are probably going to go for the 8-arrow version. And now the 8-arrow version is like the deluxe regular edition. Completely obtainable within a league, because, you know, I did it myself. Yet again, you can swap this out. You can have Mirage Archer instead of the increased area of effect or the Empower. Whichever one you feel like dropping, this depends entirely on you. But this is using a Carcass Jack, a +4 Carcass Jack. And as you will notice, it is a shitload more damage. A ridiculous amount more damage, because, go figure, a Quill Rain and extra arrows is always going to be more damage. But, thing is, you need the AoE to supplement it. Good luck getting that in any other regular league, right? So you need a Carcass Jack, you need a +1 Quill Rain, quite expensive, you still need this enchant, so that's the enchant that I possess and stuff like that. Then you're going to start needing, you know, an additional arrow here. The gear, you know, starts to get really, really good. And this is like, probably the most that most people are going to be able to get, you know what I mean? Like, in any regular league, this is like the dream setup here. We're on 8 arrows. We have the withered stacks. You know, we got Tailwind as well, which is also luxury. We got the enchant on the boots. We are reliably getting frenzy charges from, at least while we're mapping, from, what's the name of that thing? Blood Rage. We got it somewhere. Yeah, this is the Blood Rage setup. So yeah, we just run a Blood Rage. You can get frenzy charges through that. Me personally, I don't really like using these, because, you know, we don't have them up on bosses. A lot of people want to see like the big POB numbers though. So here you go, man. Take it off, you lose like a mil damage. It's not a big deal. You also lose the frenzy charges. So me personally, I don't like having that on my POB. People want to see it. But yeah, that's pretty much how I feel about it. Whatever, we'll just do it the way people want for now. I still ended up not opting to get the second one here, which does change in the final and probably the ultimate version of the build. So I'll just quickly go over like the ultimate version of the build, which is essentially split between a Headhunter version, which is more fun, quicker at mapping, kind of nice when things get hairy, versus a non-Headhunter version, which is just far more consistent and more made for someone that just wants to get gear now and doesn't want to rely on a Headhunter. So, like I said, the non-Headhunter version actually has more damage and is more consistent. The Headhunter version is just more fun, realistically. You know what I mean? So, we'll just go over the Headhunter version. That's currently what I'm rocking. I actually quite like the Headhunter version. It's really good for mapping. It takes care of a couple of strength requirements or whatever. The dex doesn't really mean that much to me. And how we end up doing it is we managed to drop the Carcass Jack because of this, and because of the insane gear we can craft this league, which is why I believe it'll probably never be replicated again aside from this league. Because one, getting a +2 quiver like this and rolling off the annul is like pure insanity. I have no idea how anyone would ever do this in a league. Like, the amount of luck you would need is impossible. So pretty much you would need to mirror this on standard, and we are going to be making more copies of these. We have a much crazier synthesized base that we were working on. We already have one of these, but we're working on a second one now. So this is our current base. It's a synthesized attack speed base. We're going to get another base soon and finish this one. This one unfortunately got bricked on stream. So what happened was we handed it to another player to add remove life until add remove attack until we got +2 arrows. He add removed non-attack and fucked my bow. So now we have to sort of work around that, sadly. So I have to restart the bow again. Very unfortunate, sadly. So yeah, this is the one we're going to use for now. It's not bad. It's going to work. But in the final POB, we obviously have an upgraded bow, and one of our mates has already, you know, completed another bow. I'll show you guys the AoE real quick though, just to sort of show you why we like this AoE. I'm aiming in the center of the screen. I'm sure as you guys can see. It's not really a good example right here. As you can see, we're touching the outside. It's actually bad spread. I think it's because we're in a bad spot. There we go. Now we should be able to see it actually touch the outside of the screen. That's the kind of AoE we're talking about. It's pretty much I shoot here and the whole screen blows up. Quite legitimately the whole screen. That is through scaling area of effect. I have perfect rings for area of effect. You know, 2 area of effect rings, that's 30% AoE. Get another 15 here. We have 12 right now. It doesn't really matter. We have 25 in the helm and we have 10 in the gloves. You have 11 on the Toxic Rain. Pretty much ends up putting you at about 249 AoE overall. which is enough for 9 arrows. Just barely. I would always like a little bit more. It doesn't really matter. But it also allows us to drop a carcass jack. If you go a carcass jack, you could theoretically get 10, but yet again, this is a min-maxed version. And there is a very particular reason why I do this, which is with the insane levels of damage that we're currently at, I can actually get Frenzy Charge on hit. This is up 100% of the time, including on bosses, which I always say is like, that's when I actually want the damage, and it gives us more attack speed. So this chest piece here is the only thing, and I mean the only thing, to actually replace a carcass jack. And yet again, it's probably only really possible this league. So we use this chest piece here to get reliable frenzy charges, including on bosses, along with a bunch of physical damage taken as lightning. As you guys know, we take a lot of reduced elemental damage, so basically just like 15% less damage. It's pretty ridiculously good, you know what I mean? And anyway, that's how we scale up the damage to the point of, kind of absurdity. Yeah. That's where we're at with the 9 arrows headhunter version. You guys can check this POB out yourself. I don't really want to go over all the nuances and stuff like that, but we do a lot of like cluster jewels. We deliberately roll chaos resistance, right? So we can drop all of our things. So we actually ended up swapping for brood for potency because of the crazy amount of chaos res that we're actually capable of getting. So we have a lot of chaos res, and that allows us to do a couple of cheeky things, which is, for one, drop Student of Decay. In all the other versions, you're going to need Student of Decay. In this one, you can get brood for potency. So we actually have 40% increased flash charges gained, along with their damage over time, along with extremely effective flash charges. And I'm talking extremely effective. So we got damage over time and all res. That's just to help out at the end. These things are pretty hard to come by. I think I have one. Yeah, we got one right here as well. Ooh, there it is. So yeah, these are pretty, obviously, like not budget friendly. Yet again, this is a min-maxed version. We're just going to go for stuff like this till we can't anymore. But yeah, this is pretty much what we've been working on, and this is the only way to take Toxic Rain to the next level. You need this gear. I do not believe this will ever be replicated again. Like, probably ever. But it does allow us in the final version, the non-headhunter version, to pretty much achieve, about 81 mil damage with increased area of effect. Now, it's up to you guys what you would do with this. You can either replicate the gear. I don't recommend a lot of people to actually even bother getting this kind of gear personally, because once it does everything in the game, it's just quality of life and flexing. I like to finish off builds. I like to min-max. I like the idea that if it got nerfed a bit, I'd probably still have a lot of leeway. But you don't have to use this Awaken Increased Area of Effect. I use it to get the AoE cap, but in reality, like, your AoE is like never certain. You know what I mean? Like, I always think we need more, but you'll never notice this while mapping, and you've already definitely got 8 pods of overlap, right? At 250% AoE, we're definitely overlapping 8 pods, so it's only really these super outside ones that we're worried about. And truth be known, like, the enemy never stands still anyway. So, like, I think it's very sort of, at this point of gear, at 9 arrows, I think 8 is the sweet spot where, like, you'll notice this a lot on single target. At 9 arrows and more AoE, debatable how much you're going to notice it. So most people, if they ever wanted to replicate this stuff, could just grab the rings and a quiver like mine. Good luck yet again getting this outside of a league, but maybe they mirror it on standard, and you could just use a carcass jack temporarily. You get a carcass jack with plus levels. There are other ways to do this, but this is the ultimate way to get damage that we've discovered so far. Yeah, I just wanted to release that to you guys, and pretty much going forward, we're going to be releasing everything into much smaller, more digestible series, and we're going to split up the POBs. So the POBs are going to be pretty much in the same format we've got now, where I'll release, all the 3.11s, and it starts from, budget to slightly more expensive and realistic to probably crazy min-maxed and never going to be touched by the average player. So for now, I believe Toxic Rain is done. I'm probably never going to be able to improve this more than it is this league. I may start doing a mini-series about the mechanics of it, and I'll go over the specifics of each POB and what you can do and alternatives and stuff like that. But for now, I just wanted to split this up into 4 different sections for, 4 different kinds of players. Some of you are going to just grab the beginner version, and, you might just do the 4 mil version. So you're going to sit here, you don't have enough money for cluster jewels, you're just happy to get to maps or bossing or whatever. 4 mil damage will probably get you there. Reality of it is I normally do, this is a league starter, and this is roughly the damage you have, and this is enough to do Cyrus the Awakener, provided you are a reasonable enough player. This is what we had when we started, and, we improve upon this throughout the league. Every little upgrade you get after this just makes it more powerful. You get 1 cluster jewel, you're up to 5 mil. You get 2, up to about 8 mil. So obviously once you got cluster jewels, you're looking pretty good. God forbid you wanted to upgrade the gear in that time, you jump up to 20 mil. This is where 90% of players are going to stop. You know, for the extra, you know, 8, well, I'm going to say 10%, right? You got the Quill Rain version, which is, you know, to push it up to the next level above that. Pretty much for this league only, for like the 0.01%, we have the Headhunter and non-Headhunter versions. Anyway, guys, just want to let you guys know, I will leave a link to all of these POBs in the description. So they're now completely updated. You can pick whereabouts you feel as a player and where you would like to be. I will do starting a new video series now, which is pretty much just going to be me showing you maps, map weaknesses. We're going to go over mechanics, and they're all going to be split up into separate videos. But for now, I just wanted to get out pretty much a Toxic Rain new format that we're going to follow from now on. So this same thing's going to happen with Cock Nova soon. So I'm going to redo the Cast on Crit Ice Nova POB to be much more like this, much neater, much more easy, with way less clutter. So you're just going to pick the version you feel comfortable with. Maybe you're an intermediate player and you want to go for the Quill Rain one. Maybe you're a beginner and you just want the 7 arrows. Maybe you're a no-lifer like myself and you want to go for the 9 arrows version. It's up to you guys. It's completely up to you. I just wanted to let you guys know that we've done this now. If there's any problems with the POBs, let me know. And yeah, peace out, guys. I will see you all later. Also, a big thank you to everyone that's been supporting me in-game, on stream and all sort of stuff, helping me out and letting me work all this stuff out. And being patient with me is another big one. So thank you for everyone for helping with that. I'll catch you guys later.